यार, India का scene क्या है ना? We've always been the artistic types. Like that friend in school who could draw anything. We've been painting, sculpting, crafting for centuries, bhai. But here's the thing na. Just like that friend who ended up in a 9 to 5 instead of pursuing art, some of our traditional arts are facing a similar crisis. They're on the verge of disappearing, yeah. And that's not just sad, it's like losing a part of our own story. Today, we are going on a trip, a bit of a sad one to be honest. We are diving deep into the world of these fading art forms. We're going to meet the artists, the families who've been keeping these traditions alive for generations, and understand why their struggles are so real. You know, sometimes we get so caught up in our own lives, we forget about the beauty that exists in the smaller things, in the details. These art forms, they're not just pretty things, they're a reflection of our history, our culture. So, let's start with something ancient. Something that even your grandfather's grandfather would have seen. Pattachitra. This art form, yeah, it's like the OG of storytelling. Imagine, back in the day, when there was no Netflix, no Instagram, this was the entertainment. Picture this, Odisha, West Bengal, centuries ago. Artists, with their brushes dipped in colors made from nature itself, painting stories of gods and goddesses on cloth. And these weren't just any paintings, bhai. Each stroke, each detail, it was like breathing life into mythology. You see these paintings, and you'll be mesmerized. The intricate details, the vibrant colors, they pull you in. It's like each painting has a story to whisper, a secret to share. But here's the thing, nah. This art that's survived for centuries, it's struggling to survive now. The younger generation, they're busy with their phones, their modern lives. And who can blame them, right? The artists. They're finding it hard to compete with the digital world, with the mass-produced prints. It's like trying to sell a handwritten love letter in the age of WhatsApp. It's heartbreaking, yeah, to see an art form so deeply rooted in our culture fading away like this. Channapatna, yeah. You know what that reminds me of? Childhood. Remember those wooden toys, the ones that felt warm in your hands, the ones that didn't break even when you threw them around? Yeah, those were probably from Channapatna. This small town in Karnataka, it was like the toy factory of India. Every other house, you'd find an artisan carving wood, painting it with bright, happy colors. And these weren't just any colors, bhai. They were made from turmeric, from indigo, from things you could probably eat. But then, something happened now. Plastic happened. Suddenly, these beautiful, handcrafted toys were competing with cheap, mass-produced plastic ones. It's like that time when your parents got you a fancy new video game and you forgot all about your old G.I. Joes. The artisans of Channapatna, they're facing a similar situation. They're fighting to keep their tradition alive, to make people see the value in something handmade, something special. They're trying, yeah, they really are. They're coming up with new designs, they're trying to reach out to a wider audience. But they need our help, bhai. They need us to choose these toys, to tell their stories, to keep their craft alive. Have you ever seen something so intricate, so detailed, that you wondered how human hands could create it? That's Dhokra for you, bhai. This art form, it's ancient, yeah. We're talking 4,000 years old, older than your history textbooks. Imagine tribal artisans, deep in the forests of Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Odisha, working with molten metal. But they're not just shaping it, they're creating art. Animals, deities, everyday objects, all brought to life in bronze. The process, it's like magic, yeah. They create a wax model, cover it in clay, heat it till the wax melts away, and then pour in molten metal. It's like a science experiment gone artistic. But here's the catch now. This art that survived millennia, it's facing extinction. The younger generation, they're not interested in learning the craft. It's time-consuming, it's labor-intensive, and frankly, it doesn't pay that well. The artisans who are still practicing, they're fighting a losing battle against modernization, against indifference. They're like the last guardians of an ancient secret, a secret that's slowly fading away. It's up to us, Yar, to make sure that this art form doesn't become just another chapter in our history books. We need to support these artisans, to appreciate their craft, to tell their stories. Chapter 4. Phad, where gods and heroes come alive. Rajasthan, Yar, the land of kings and queens, forts and palaces. But hidden in its heart is another treasure, a storytelling tradition like no other. Phad painting. Imagine a long scroll, like a giant comic strip, painted with vibrant colors, depicting stories of local heroes, of deities, of battles and romances. That's Phad Pai. These paintings, they weren't just meant to be seen, they were meant to be experienced. Imagine a storyteller, a pauper, with his Phad painting unfurled, narrating the stories with such passion, such drama, that you'd be transported to another world. But sadly, Yar, this tradition is fading away. The younger generation, they're busy with their TVs, their phones. Who has the time for stories told under the stars anymore? The artists, they're struggling to make ends meet. The demand for Phad paintings is dwindling, and the few who still practice are finding it hard to survive. It's like watching a movie on your phone, Yar, versus watching it on a big screen with surround sound. The experience is just not the same. We need to bring back that magic, Pai. We need to support these artists to keep this tradition alive, because once it's gone forever. Chapter 5. Thanjavur Dolls. The silent dance fades away. You know those bobblehead dolls? The ones that sit on your car's dashboard? Well, they have a much cooler, much older cousin, the Thanjavur doll. Imagine a doll dressed in silk, adorned with jewels, its head bobbing gently with the slightest touch. That's the Thanjavur doll, Pai. They're like the elegant, graceful grandparents of those bobbleheads. These dolls, they were more than just toys, Yar. They were symbols of prosperity, of happiness. They were given as gifts during festivals. They were displayed in homes with pride. But now, they're gathering dust, Pai, literally. The artisans who make them, they're finding it hard to compete with the mass-produced plastic dolls that flood the market. The younger generation, they don't have the patience for something so intricate, so time-consuming. It's like comparing a hand-stitched quilt to a machine-made blanket, Yar. The effort, the love, the artistry that goes into a Thanjavur doll, it's incomparable. We need to appreciate that, Pai. We need to support these artisans to keep this tradition alive, because these dolls, they're not just toys, they're a part of our heritage. Chapter 6. Rogan Art, a brushstroke of patience. Imagine painting with oil, but not just any oil, castor oil. And imagine painting on cloth, creating intricate designs with a needle-thin stick. Sounds difficult, right? Well, that's Rogan art for you, Pai. This art form, it's from Kutch, Gujarat, and it's as unique as it gets. The process is painstakingly slow, Yar. The artist takes a small amount of colored castor oil paste on a stick and then uses a thin metal rod to draw patterns on the fabric. It's like watching a magician perform, Pai. The way they manipulate the oil, the way they create such intricate designs with such precision, it's mesmerizing. But here's the thing, Na. This art form is on the verge of extinction. Only a handful of families in Kutch still practice it, and even they are struggling to keep it alive. The younger generation, they're not interested in learning this time-consuming art. The demand for Rogan art is low, and the few who do appreciate it are often put off by the high prices. It's like that rare book in your grandfather's collection, Pai. The one that's beautifully bound with hand-painted illustrations. It's priceless, but no one reads it anymore. We need to change that, Yar. We need to recognize the value of Rogan art. to support the artists who are keeping this tradition alive. Because once it's gone forever. Chapter 7. Shadow Puppetry. Where stories danced in the dark. Remember those bedtime stories your grandparents used to tell? The ones that transported you to another world, filled with mythical creatures and heroic deeds. Shadow puppetry, Pai. It's like that, but on a whole other level. Imagine this: a dimly lit room, a white cloth stretched tight, and behind it, a flickering lamp. And then, shadows appear, dancing to the rhythm of ancient tales. That's shadow puppetry, yeah. An art form that's as old as time itself. These puppets, they're not just pieces of leather, Pai. They're characters brought to life by the skilled hands of the puppeteers. With each movement, each gesture, they weave stories of gods and demons, kings and queens, love and loss. But sadly, yeah, this magical art form is fading away. The younger generation, they're glued to their screens, their video games. Who has the time for stories told in the shadows anymore? The puppeteers, they're finding it hard to survive. With dwindling audiences and lack of support, many are being forced to abandon their craft and seek other means of livelihood. It's like watching a classic movie, yeah, versus scrolling through endless reels on your phone. The depth, the artistry, the sheer brilliance of shadow puppetry, it's unmatched. We need to rediscover that magic, Pai. We need to support these puppeteers to keep this ancient art form alive. Because once the shadows stop dancing, a part of our culture will be lost forever. Outro. Keeping the legacy alive. Yeah, honestly, it's a bit of a downer, isn't it? Seeing these beautiful art forms, these pieces of our heritage, struggling to survive. It's like losing a piece of yourself, you know? The truth is, it's not just one thing killing these arts. It's like a perfect storm of modern life, cheap alternatives, and us, yeah. We're so busy chasing the new and shiny, we forget about the treasures we already have. But here's a sliver of hope. Just like those old Bollywood movies, there are good people out there, Pai. NGOs, some government schemes, and just passionate souls who are fighting to revive these dying arts. They are trying to bridge the gap between these artisans and us, the audience they deserve. It's not going to be easy, yeah. It's going to take effort. It's going to take awareness. It's going to take us choosing handmade over mass-produced, choosing heritage over trend. But it's possible, Pai. We can be the generation that brings these arts back from the brink. So, the next time you see something beautiful, something handcrafted, something that speaks of our heritage, stop. Take a moment. Appreciate it. Support it. Because by doing so, you're not just buying a product, you're keeping a legacy alive.